In this audio recording, I want to talk about casting out violence. A lot of folks are relieved from violence. Why? They grew up in a household where people communicate effectively, where people seek consensus, and they attended a church where almost everyone knew one another, or maybe they were not people that went to church but to a mosque. There are people that grew up in a relieved environment, and they are trained to operate in a relieved environment. And because they grew up in a relieved environment, they have relative health. That does not mean that their thinking is correct, but they can see some deceptions easier. Some people who grew up in dysfunctional households, they tend to be blind to certain traps, while someone that comes from a relieved household see the traps immediately. Though to people operating in duality, they tend to perceive the one from the relieved household as someone with a good childhood and someone that came from a more oppressive background as someone with a bad childhood. So good childhood versus bad childhood, it's those two definitions themselves are a duality, which when you put them into practice, it's not that black and white, but we perceive them to be black and white. People that come from a relief environment, as I mentioned before, people often communicated effectively over there, and there people could be more transparent with one another without having to face physical retaliation. And if you grew up in an environment where there were very few physical retaliations for being transparent, you tend to be more direct and more blunt. And you tend to have more confidence in approaching people and addressing stuff. When you are from a household or from an environment where there was a lot of retaliation, when someone's will was frustrated, you tend to develop coping patterns in order to cope with other people. Why? Because you can't be transparent, because if you're transparent, man, the bad stuff are going to happen. And you want safety. That is a natural thing to want. Safety is a basic human need. But when that basic need is violated, your mind develops ways to cope with that violation in order to prevent it from happening again. So if you grew up in an environment where people often screamed against you because they acted out the frustration like that, when they violated you like this, it doesn't have to be everyone that did this to you. But if the significant people around you did this to you while growing up, it can either be that you develop this repressive attitude that you don't say anything because you have experienced that expressing yourself often leads to danger, or it can be that you begin to you become like, how do I say it, you become like a chameleon, you become a toxic people pleaser to just say what people want to hear. Why? Because that helped, that worked out for you to keep you safe. Now, of course, when you grow older, this becomes a problem because in the workplace, if you have become a toxic people pleaser, you tend to, well, you tend to manipulate people just to be left alone. And it will work. People will leave you alone, but people will notice that something is wrong with you. And this will work against you eventually. Or if you're an introverted individual, because you don't feel safe with expressing yourself, this builds up frustration inside of you. And this will manifest in things like smoking, a lot of drinking, or heavy partying, or violence against other people. The pain that content you will manifest anyway. So things like drug addiction, alcoholism, they're also forms of violence, but they're not a form of an external violence towards other people. And that's why people think, well, it's just an addiction. It's violence. It's violence people can't see for what it is. It's self-destructive violence that was programmed inside of you. So by you thinking that the addiction is purely your own responsibility and you want to fix it, well, hold on a minute, you can't fix it. Why can't you fix it? Because there's nothing to fix. It's a program that's been enforced upon you that's manifesting in such a way. So you need deliverance from that program. You are not going to reform the program because the program is the problem. You seek deliverance from the program. You get what I'm saying here? So let's go back to violence here. When you cast out violence from amongst you, this is what happens. When you begin to pray, you begin to decree in the name of Jesus Christ, or whatever variant of his name in any language you use. When you cast out violence, you call it by name. For example, you decree violence, I cast you out in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. You can even be more specific. Verbal violence, I cast you out. Physical violence, I cast you out. You can be very specific if you want. When you cast out violence, you will notice that there are some people who will suddenly turn against you. When you cast out violence, you will notice that some people suddenly are going to flee from you. What has happened here? When you have violence around you, you tend to become numb to it. You become adjusted to it. So you're not going to see it as violence anymore. So when you cast out violence, this is what happens. You are freed from that chain. And once you're free from that chain, you're now recovering. And when you are recovering, the real you is developed. The real you begins to manifest. The real you who is not in darkness. I'm talking about the core you now develops into someone. And when this happens, this freaks people out. Let me explain why. If you are from a relieved environment, you also develop wrong thinking patterns. Everyone developed wrong thinking patterns because we all grew up in the world. We were born in sin, so automatically our thinking it's messed up from birth. And in the world, the majority of the human population does not follow Christ. So we all grew up in the world, we all received bad thinking patterns. We all received programs that are anti-Christ, that we all need to be delivered from. If you are from a relieved environment, you tend to believe that if people just work hard, that they can reach whatever they want in life. You tend to think that if you don't like something, you just have to say it. You tend to think that if you're just honest, things will be alright. You are blinded to the violence around you. So without you being aware of it, you have been trained to please the majority at all costs. You don't see this about yourself. You often speak your mind. When you don't like something or you don't like someone, you tend to be quite blunt, but you don't realize that this bluntness is an expression of fear to avoid discomfort. You don't see this. You can't see this because you're trapped. So you think that you are you, but you are not really you. You are the socialized version people want you to be. For example, you are very outspoken when you can't stand something, when you don't take something. Then you have another individual who's like a doormat. He or she takes almost anything. And you look at that individual and you think, and you even say to her, let's say it's a woman, you say to her, why are you allowing this? You shouldn't take that from people. But hold on a minute. That woman sees the truth. She sees reality. She sees that those people have no intention of evaluating their own thinking nor evaluating their actions. And she realized that the fact alone that they decided that it was a good idea to leak out towards her already shows that she's in danger. So what she's doing is, she's not going to confront those people because that will trigger and reveal their own inconsistencies onto them. And because those people won't avoid any awareness of their own inconsistencies, they will freak out. And they've already decided that it was a safe option for them to act out the frustrations towards her. That's why she wants to prevent as much damage as possible, because she realizes that it's a group of people that agreed with them against her, so she's already in danger. So she doesn't want to add to the danger, because she knows she cannot change those people from the inside. She can't. So she is realistic. But you are not realistic. You don't see things clearly. You think you see things clearly. Why? Because you notice facts. But you don't see those facts in context. You don't look at the bigger picture. So let's say now that you one day you notice that there's a lot of violence around you, and you are a believer, and now you begin to cast out violence. First of all, you have a violent attitude yourself of not seeing the bigger picture. So when you cast out violence, that mindset of yours is going to be broken down. And once this happens, well, changes will occur in your attitude towards other people, and people are going to notice these changes, and people are going to get uncomfortable with it. Why? Because you never realized how common violence was around you, and in the way people treated you, how people perceived you. You never really realized it. Now that it has been cast out, now the things that people wanted to keep hidden are revealed. And those other people don't want stuff to be revealed. They want to remain in the dark, because when the light is shining upon it, it will expose stuff that they don't want to be exposed. Because once things are exposed, they need to deal with stuff. And they don't want to deal with stuff, they just want relief. Many people don't think violence is a spirit. Of course, you have the physical actions of violence. Don't get me wrong, when people talk about violence, most of the time they mean the physical actions of violence. But violence itself, it is an evil spirit. There are spirits of violence out there. Let me give an illustration. Let's say that you have someone that's always being used as a doormat wherever she goes. She did not ask for it. She didn't mind other people's business. She did nothing to so-called piss other people off. What's going on? She has a victimization demon around her that was enforced upon her by the mistreatment of her own relatives when she was just a kid. She is not aware that this victimization by her own relatives caused a trauma in her energy field as a kid, and that this invited a demon to her. Let's call her Elsa. Elsa is not aware she has this victimization demon in her energy field. And this demon is drawing and feeding off of the negative energy of other people. So by that demon doing that, the demon is drawing those people towards himself. But people don't see the demon. People see Elsa. So when people have their negative, when people have their waste energies, their frustrations, and you know what, that demon is sucking it all up towards him. And those people with that contention come towards Elsa. That's why Elsa is often used as a doormat. Then people tell her, Elsa, you need to stand up for yourself. So Elsa began to do that. It becomes worse. Why? Because those people have bad energies, have bad contention already, and now Elsa is fighting against it, so now it escalates. So Elsa's thinking, what does she have to do? And then you have someone else tells her, take this charm, pray to this saint, or do this voodoo ritual. Elsa does it, and Elsa is relieved. What has happened here? Elsa has been deceived. That victimization demon has been ordered by bigger demons in this paranormal to behave. So that smaller demon, that victimization demon, behaves. And that victimization demon now, he still feeds off the negative energy of people around Elsa, but those people cannot come near Elsa because there are other smaller demons over there that have generated this paranormal shield around Elsa that keep bad energies at a distance. That victimization demon can still feed off the bad energies of those people around Elsa, but that demon is outside of that paranormal shield. But that victimization demon is still there. Elsa is just relieved. So violence is still around Elsa. And Elsa is not aware of it. When that charm works out, all those other people who generated circus in their thinking against Elsa, all of it now is coming on Elsa again. Worse than before. And there are some people out there who carry troll demons with them. Those are the type of demons that feed off of anger. So those demons are keeping people in a negative contention by draining the physical life source of people, because that causes people to become aggressive and feel fearful. It doesn't mean they are fearful, but they feel fearful, and demons do this, and because of that, people often tend to get irritated quickly and they lash out against others. So violence is something you need to cast out. People cast out all kinds of demons. People cast out all kinds of troubles, because even circumstances you can cast out. I'm not saying that circumstances that immediately results, but you can cast things out. For example, if there is poverty around you, you can cast out poverty. Now, there will still be poverty around you, but it won't affect you anymore. You will walk in abundance in the midst of the poverty. A lot of people want to get rid of debt. They want to get rid of financial difficulty. They want to get rid of physical sickness. They want to get rid of a lot of stuff, but often they are relief centered. They seek relief. They don't seek deliverance. Let me tell you, folks, I had demons stalking me. I was haunted at a very young age. Yes, I was. I was haunted. One of those victimization devils that I've just spoken about, I had one of those. I figured out later. Now look, the demon feeds off of the negative energy of other people, and it's those other people that act out. So those other people are responsible for their contribution. They are. Just because there's a demon drawing them, they're still the ones with the negative energy, and they're still the ones thinking it's alright to will against you. So they are participating in it. You know what? When I became born again, began to walk by faith, I cast out devils. I spoke to mountains, and they fled from me. So what I'm telling you here is from experience. When you cast out violence, it's then that you're going to notice how violent and how vile a lot of people are. And when those people notice the change, they will deny the change, they will fight against the change, and when they notice that their fight against the change is only going to expose them more and more, they will flee. One day they won't even fight against you anymore. Let me tell you, when about 12, 13 years ago, people were very comfortable just acting out, saying stupid stuff towards me, even in my presence. Today, some of those same people, they don't even dare to mention anything. They see me and they walk away quickly. What has happened? Violence has been cast out. And not only that, I agree with Christ. I walk in agreement with Him. I operate in righteous judgment. So they are under judgment. And they know very well why they're under judgment. But they don't want to face it. They want to keep going in their wickedness. So consequences will remain upon them. Anyway, I've cast out violence. And the same you have to do. Not many churches tell you that you need to cast out violence. They don't even tell you that violence is a spirit. They focus on psychology, and there's nothing wrong with focusing on psychology. We are people. We have a psyche. Alright? So, that we have psychological knowledge, there's nothing wrong with that. However, they don't tell you to look at the bigger picture. Look, that's why I'm telling you, when you notice that people's attitude change towards you, the more you decide to agree with Christ, then you know that those people are in bad people. Let me tell you, they're bad people. Because if they were people who just needed deliverance and you began to walk by faith, well, I'm not saying that if they have issues that they would have welcomed your faith, but when you walk by faith and they need deliverance, for some for some reason they will become curious at what is behind you and they will seek for help. But there are many people who have no interest in seeking help because they just want relief. They don't want to give up those bad thinking patterns. They'll rather have you being victimized, being wounded, being sick, so that they can use you to compare with themselves to feel relief about themselves. They'll rather have that than to face all those ugly agreements and let them go. I'm telling you, you need to cast out violence. A lot of people have been taught to cope with violence either by becoming aggressive against perpetrators, to stand up for yourself and to enforce boundaries. Others are more reserved, are tolerating stuff, just putting up with stuff. Others just running away. No, cast it out. Cast those legions of devils out. Once they are cast out, they will go to those that feed them. And when this happens, they will get to manifest inside of them. And there's another, it's not really a secret, but this is something that you need to understand about the paranormal. When one individual is wounded and people have often dropped their negative energy towards this individual, demons begin to use this individual to give relief to worldly people, because demons know worldly people want relief. As long as they have relief, they will comply with darkness. That's why you have those victimization demons that keep haunting certain people, because demons know when people see a lot of contention around you, they tend to avoid you, they tend to blame you, so that they are relieved. And by doing this, people are remaining in the negative, and that's what demons want, for people to remain in the negative. So demons will agree to haunt you just to keep others in the negative. So it isn't just about you. And here's another thing. Those other people, they are in darkness. So they're contributing to it. So understand the following. You need to cast violence out. Because if you don't cast it out, it will continue. Cast violence out. Don't play with it. Don't seek relief from it. Cast it out. Don't think that you can handle it based on that world thinking. No, cast it out. That being said, be at peace.